Okay, real quick, we got a Facebook group that you can join to get all of this information and more, and to be able to get into contact with me and learn more if you need any kind of information. Go ahead and click below for the Facebook group, and go ahead and click below to subscribe. And go ahead and enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you. Bye. Bye-bye. Welcome back to my channel, Make Better Music Now, hosted by me, Miles Davis. In this video, we're going to be talking about what mixing is, because, I mean, a lot of folks really don't have a true understanding of what mixing is, and what part of the process mixing falls in. So after you get done recording, hopefully you recorded in the green. You know, you guys got that green bar, the yellow bar, and the red bar. Hopefully you recorded somewhere where it's not distorting. That's one, you know. And then you move on to after you record, after you get all your background vocals. If you're doing rap, you're doing your ad libs, you're doing your lead, your ad libs, and then maybe some in and outs or something like that. If you're doing R&B or you're doing pop or something like that, you want to have your background vocals and your harmonies and stuff like that. After you get done recording all of that stuff in pristine condition, meaning that you did not record this in distortion. You can add distortion to it later, but first things first, this recording is as clean as possible, as unprocessed as possible, and just go into it with that thought process, because all of this stuff can be added later on, such as like reverbs, all of that stuff. You know, we'll get into that later on, but you just need to come into this with the understanding that you want to record with the cleanest signal possible. Now that we got that out the way, mixing is like basically you're making a cake, right? Baking a cake. And when you're baking a cake, you're taking all these different ingredients, all of these cleanly recorded in ingredients. Whether it's something that you recorded in, something you brought in from another set of sounds or something like that, another a production pack, whatever you got, wherever you got it from, as long as it's serving the purpose that you want in order to get the sound that you're looking for, right? As long as it's serving that purpose, then you're good to go. So when you're mixing and let's just say I'm mixing, right? When you're mixing, you're making a cake, right? You don't want too much of your salt. You don't want too much of your sugar. You don't want too much of your vanilla. You don't want too much of these ingredients to overpower the whole mix. So the thought process behind it is, when you're having your, let's do it from the bottom to top, right? You're getting your production. You got your production, right? You got a producer. If you're an artist, you got your producer. If you're a producer, you got your vocals back in, you know what I mean? But basically, from the bottom to the top, it's a layered cake. It is literally your music, your vocals on top of that music, and you marrying those things together, right? And to bake it into itself to where you really don't even notice the difference between the two. So what you really want to, your thought process behind the music, it needs to be arranged. And when I say arranged, I mean you want to have and I'll get into all of these things in depth later on in other videos, but your arrangement is just as important as how you mix. Because let's say you have a beat with so many different sounds in it, your artist really can't, it's fighting with your instruments to get space for their voice. Because in all honesty, their voice is an instrument. So if you're trying to fight them, if that instrument is fighting them, it's best to maybe take it out. Not saying that you should. I'm just saying that it's a lot of mixing gets done in the arrangement portion. Like what instruments you choose, what scale, how high, what octave you put your instrument in order to get it out of the way of that person's voice. All right. So, not to get too down into like the intricacies or whatever. Not, you know what I'm saying? I want to just let you guys know the thought process of mixing. So in order to even start a good mix, you want to have a great recording. Whether you're mixing rock, whether you're mixing rap, whether you're mixing pop, you want to have a great, clear recording. So once you have that great, clear recording, you can move it over into this realm of thought that you're mixing now. So since I'm mixing, I got this clear, everything's good here, nothing sounds crazy here. I can manipulate it as much as I need to in this section, which is mixing. All right, so once I get to this mixing section, I'm going to start thinking about this from the beat up. So the beat, the drums, the bass, the claps, the hats, the snares, the synths, the strings, whatever else you want to put in there. I want to think about it from that on into the vocals, the lead, the background, the ad-libs. And then once I get to, once I get all of these things in an arranged kind of way of thinking, right? Once I get the beat out of the way of the vocals, once I get the certain parts of the beat out of the way of the vocals, then I want to go in and mix. Because at that point, my thought process is that everything's out of the way. Now I can really start mixing on what's fighting each other, the frequencies of the sounds that are fighting the vocal. Some of the lower end is just fighting with the actual artist's lower portions of the lower resonating portions of their voice in the vocal. So it's a very intricate process, but it's a worthwhile process, and it's not hard. It's just it's a lot going on. It's not hard. Not saying it's hard at all. This is a very simple process, but it's a lot of very simple processes. That's all this is. It's a lot of very simple processes. Like how I said, you want to record in clear. Very simple process, record in clear. You want to start from the bottom to the top as far as taking out certain instruments or bringing those instruments down that are fighting vocals. And what I mean by fighting vocals is basically your vocal is competing for loudness. Your vocal is competing for loudness, or it may be too loud in certain parts. So it might be a resonating tone that you hear that is it might have this muddiness to it. It might have a muddiness to it. So that comes from frequencies building up. And you can take some of those frequencies down out of certain things and it won't have an effect on that sound. It won't make the sound any different, because what you're perceiving, there's some things that I want to get into. I'm not gonna get into it in this video because it's a starter video, but there's some things called first octave, second octave, and they resonate different. So our voices resonate from a bass within us, and then they hit different octaves, and then our resonating octave is usually around like 1K for a human voice. But that's down the line. Don't even worry about that. We'll get into that later on. But I just want to let you know how deep the rabbit hole goes. But like I said, it's a lot of simple thought processes that bake into this cake. And it seems like a little bit, it might seem like a lot, but it's not really. It's just, like I said, it's a lot of simple thought processes. And I'll get into it. Again, click the link below, click the subscribe link below, and we'll get into it in our next video. All right.